you considered the messages your outfits send? What do you think your clothes say about you? See, style is about the clothes, but it's not really about the clothes. Every day you make choices about what you're going to wear, but what are you communicating? Welcome to Above and Beyond Style. I'm your host, Maria DiLorenzo, and in 2019, I founded MFD Style, where I provide a unique, intuitive approach to personal styling for those ready to embrace a more meaningful look. With this podcast, I'll uncover key elements of where spirituality, psychology, and style intersect, revealing how you can make intentional wardrobe choices that reflect who you really are. So let me ask you, are you ready to transform into your authentic self? Then it's time. Come with me on this journey, and together we'll take your style above and beyond style. Hey there. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you more about MFD Style, my wardrobe consulting business. I've been styling professionally for nearly 15 years. And it truly is my life's passion and purpose. In fact, my mission is to help you develop a confident and authentic signature style, breathe life into your existing wardrobe, and help you fill in with perfect, versatile pieces that are in line with your style and budget. And yes, all of this can be done both in person or virtually. This experience can transform your life. I have seen it happen countless times. And all you have to do is take that first step. Set up a free 30-minute consultation call with me, and we can start this journey together. You deserve to have a wardrobe that mirrors who you are, and I am so ready to help make that happen. You can find me on the web at mfdstyle.com. Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Above and Beyond Style. I can't even believe this, but this is actually my 12th episode, and this will conclude season 1 for me, which sounds so crazy. Like when I started this journey, I really didn't know really how long I would go for any particular season. I just tried to kind of map it out in a way that felt good and gave me enough content to sort of feel like I got myself, like my feet wet a little bit in the process. So it has just been really fun to see the evolution of just these 12 episodes now, and excited to build on the content that I've started here and this community that I have started. And just so grateful to you for listening along. I recognize in the many priorities of our day, sometimes listening to a podcast episode doesn't maybe seem to hit the highest mark. And I am just blown away at the people who have taken the time to share a review or send me a text or follow me on Instagram, just to kind of give me that feedback about the podcast, how it's, really hitting the mark for them. They're learning so much. It really just fills my heart and my soul knowing that some of these topics are landing with you and that you're finding it enjoyable to listen to me. So thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. I had the nicest comment on Instagram recently from a woman who discovered me through Erin Stoll, the Style Thief Fashion on Instagram. She is a fellow stylist friend of mine in Omaha, Nebraska, and you're actually going to hear from her in season 2 of Above and Beyond Style, which is exciting. But I love when people discover one another through other, sources, and particularly those that are interested in style, like I know Erin is. So this woman came my way. She had been listening to the podcast, and I want to say thank you. These are the types of comments that really land for me and help me recognize that some of this content is giving you the inspiration and even just some of the heart and feeling that needs to come in connection when you think about style and wardrobe and some of the choices that we can make to live a healthier, happier, more balanced life. So this has just been a wonderful journey, guys. I really am so grateful to you. And I will, as I mentioned, be back for season 2. So my plan is to release that in a few months. I've got a really neat lineup of guests that I'm going to be talking with in this next season. So you're going to hear more expanded content around what are the other ways that style and some of the messages around our choices around style, and style looking a bit broader than just clothing. Obviously, I've really focused and honed in on clothing. And there are many experts in their field and in their work that I have been connected to over the years that I think have a really interesting perspective to add to this conversation and help really reinforce some of the things that we've talked about in this first season. So I'm excited for you to hear and meet some of them. So I will be sure to keep you posted as those launch dates become more clear. So for today's episode, to wrap up this season, I wanted to talk to you about curating a closet that you love. And this feels like kind of a big topic because there are so many elements to the process of curating your closet. But I get this question a lot from clients about, the development of a wardrobe and how to really sort of know when you've achieved it, whatever the it is, right? And having that sense of accomplishment and really done the hard work of figuring out what pieces belong, what pieces deserve to stay, what pieces truly elicit that feeling of joy and strength and confidence, and finding all the complementary ways that those pieces can be mixed and matched within your wardrobe. If you haven't already figured this out, this is not an overnight process, and it's not intended to be. And part of the reason I wanted to start this podcast was for you to understand there is always an evolution connected to style, and the wardrobe curation process takes time. And some people love that and other people hate that because they want the instant gratification of, give me the 25 or the 30 pieces that I'll just love and I'll wear all the time and I won't ever have to think about it. And in some ways, yeah, that could be accomplished, but I think you might be missing out on some of the other pieces. And that's really what I've wanted out of this podcast for you, is for you to sort of see the intentionality underneath and behind some of these choices. And because it takes a little bit of soul searching and a little bit of kind of digging into your own self, that's a process that isn't an overnight discovery. And learning and understanding who you are and what you need in your life and what sort of feelings and emotions rise to the surface on any given day and sort of what you need to move through your day it's a part of the process that, again, takes time. It takes that consistent focus and thought and ability to really stay with it. And I think in some ways we maybe shy away from that process because it can become intimidating, or again, among the many decisions you might be making in a day, it might feel difficult to spend time really thinking about how to move through this process of curating your wardrobe. So what I wanted to do today is to help you, guide you a little bit through this and give you some even just guiding questions, some key takeaways that might be able to, help you develop a wardrobe that you're going to love and to feel really good about the wardrobe that you've pulled together. Now, many times in the curation process of a closet, I always begin, as a service provider, I begin with this closet review, which I've talked to you before on that episode around working with MFD Style, and it is a core service that I provide my clients, and I really do feel strongly about the concept of a review. And again, other people might call it an edit, but not to worry too much about semantics. The truth of the matter is that oftentimes when we come to our closets, we're confronted with a lot of different emotions and feelings and realities around. Perhaps some of us just have a lot. We have a quantity issue. The volume is so overwhelming, and it oftentimes creates this fatigue with, how do I even pick anything in this monstrosity of a collection of clothes? And I think sometimes having so many options, that overwhelming feeling, it can often then move into the other areas of our life without even really recognizing that those morning decisions around what to put on our body sometimes is setting us up for more complexity for the rest of the day. So if we were able to really have a more focused, clear and identifiable wardrobe on the day to day, it's interesting how that helps us move through the rest of our day, perhaps with that same clarity and decisiveness that can come with an edit or a review. And I often find that when clients go through the process, whether or not quantity or volume is an issue for you, it really is about, at the heart of it, about letting go of those items that just don't need to be there anymore. They perhaps are taking up that valuable real estate in your closet. And if you live in the Northeast, sometimes those closets are real small. And so that real estate is special. And you want to be able to maximize what you have so that you have the ability to not feel like you're bursting at the seams and really can make the most use out of the space that you have. So that process of letting go, of, calling a spade on some of these items and whether or not they really deserve and deem the worthiness of holding that space. And sometimes that space is literal and oftentimes figurative too, about the space that it kind of controls and it holds in our own head and our heart space. So I'm often struck by, at the end of a closet review, how many of my clients have said they feel that lightness. It's not even just the physicalness of the clothing being out and gone. There is an energy of lightness that they are able to then access and to be able to utilize that wasn't there before. And those are the elements of the closet review that I think can really permeate some of these other areas of life that I'm talking about. So I know many of you are probably familiar with Marie Kondo and her method, and there is something really lovely about her process. And if you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to pick up her book. I think it's The Magical Art of Tidying Up. And then she's got a couple shows on Netflix where she is, walking people through the editing process. And so a couple things that strike me about her process is, she comes from a tradition where she's really trying to hone in on the energy of an individual item. And the question she poses is, does it spark joy? And it's fascinating because people, define and understand joy differently. So really at the heart of it, I think she's tapping into that emotion and that feeling about, like, does this make me feel good and feel good to put it on my body? And I'm obviously speaking specifically about clothes, but she does this with, everything in your home. And so at the essence of this sparking joy, there needs to be a resounding hell yes. And she would never use those words or that phrase. But it's really at the heart of what sparking joy is about. And so when you're going through this process of editing, I really want you to understand and recognize in your own body what a hell yes feels like. And I am quite certain you know that, because when you've come across something that truly is that yes, it's a very felt sense. It might kind of spark something in your core, or you just sort of stand a little taller, or you can just imagine yourself in that item, and it elicits a variety of different feelings and emotions. Like, there's a lot of different ways the hell yes shows up for people. And I want you to tap into your own feeling of that hell yes, because there's plenty of us, and more than probably I care to count, that settle for the good enough. And when we have a closet of good enough, it doesn't spark joy. It creates those feelings of sort of blasé about our clothes, not really feeling super motivated to get dressed, not really feeling the connection between what clothes can say about us when we show up in our world and in our lives. And I think that good enough, again, it can permeate to some of the other areas of your life. And that the ways that happens it can be a slow build over time, but again, it's that sort of, I remember Adam Grant talking about in the context of the pandemic, this languishing, this sort of like, I'm just kind of getting myself through life. And that same feeling can take hold over time with your clothing when you have just the good enough sitting in your closet. And I recognize that this process Marie Kondo has about, does it spark joy? She also takes you through the process of when you've identified that it doesn't belong any longer for any whatever reason, that she calls you forward to thank you for what you served for me, for showing up and giving me whatever I needed at the particular time, for wearing it and clothing your body and doing whatever it needed to do, and to bless it forward to the next person that will own it. And that's obviously a really important part of my business model, that I don't want it necessarily always to go to the trash or to end up in a landfill. Like, I really want you to start to connect with the things that maybe are no longer good for you, might be somebody else's, hell yes. And so how lovely to be able to pass that along in a way that enables someone else to really have the wardrobe that they really love to have, so that you can release some of those items perhaps with more intention and more, just more feelings of connectedness about how your item can bless somebody else in their own lifestyle. So this edit process really is at the core of curating, I think, a closet that you love. And, I sort of glossed over this at the beginning, but I really want to underscore something that I hope you've picked up by this point and listening to a variety of my episodes, is that curating a closet that you love actually has to begin with loving yourself enough to make that choice. And it's that recognition that you deserve that there is nothing more in this world that you need more than your own self-love, and to feel proud and good and worthy of who you are. And all the decisions that we make in any given day should support that. So that's why I really advocate for your wardrobe choices to be in alignment with that belief. And I do believe that moving through this experience of curating your own wardrobe in a very intentional and loving way is a form of self-care. And Lord knows we could all use a little extra dose of that for any number of reasons. And I think having the courage to show up and do that for yourself will show. It will sort of show up all over you. And I can't tell you the number of clients I've had who've gone through this process, rediscovered sort of this sense of self-worth, self-value, self-love, and are now making choices in their wardrobe that really mirror those feelings. And the people that are in their lives, in relationship with them, are noticing. They're able to say, like, you look really nice today. Like, I love what you've got pulled together, right? It's an initial sort of perception. And then it moves into like, you look really happy. You seem really happy and content, right? There is something, and I'm not suggesting this is a panacea for all the things in the world that are going wrong, but I do truly believe that choosing this form of self-care enables you to live out your life in a more intentional, happy, healthy way. So taking the time and making the choice to honor yourself and love yourself enough to let your clothes speak that message is probably the most important thing that you could do in this process. And I think in many ways, we've overlooked the importance of all of that. And I think we've lived in a society where there is a lot of, focus on fast fashion and the impact of fast fashion. And I've talked about this in that sustainability episode around our consumeristic behaviors and the sort of, in the United States, especially around like the wanting more, there's always more, the grass is always greener with the thing that I don't have, kind of core feelings of dissatisfaction around some of the ways that we live and experience our lives. And I want you to feel and understand there are techniques and ways to shift that belief and to really start to see value and worth in who you are and what you have, and start to leverage that for all the right reasons, and to give you some really core feelings and knowledge to be able to connect with these feelings. And I also feel like part of this journey, as I'm again looking over the series of episodes from this first season around, having core pieces that you can return to and feel great in. It's the concept of that capsule wardrobe, or investing in those better quality pieces. Again, I talk about that, I believe, in episode 9. It's important that you start to hone in on this process of, what are these core pieces? What are the things in my wardrobe that make me feel and look great? And how can I learn to really, again, curate those over time? Where can I find more items that might support that? Or even, redesign or reimagine a piece. I'm watching a couple women on Instagram right now who are really into sewing, such a lost art. My mom's heart breaks every day that my sister and I never picked up sewing. She is a really strong and great seamstress, and for years would make clothing from patterns. And even to this day, she still will, do a little hem or a tuck or an update for me, because she just is really skilled in those ways. And the return of sewing, I'm watching these women on Instagram who have kind of rediscovered the art of sewing your own clothes and finding a pattern and putting it together, and all the intricacies that go with garment design and construction, and how important it is to understand, that art of when a clothing item has been constructed and manufactured in a really ethical and important way. There is something that you're also promoting into the world about that. And I think all of us, while I'm not a seamstress, I do feel it important to sometimes reconfigure an item. I just recently had a dress that I wore for a wedding that I realized I don't know that I'm going to necessarily wear this dress, and I don't know if I felt as comfortable in it on the top half of the dress as I would have liked to. And I didn't necessarily see myself long term wearing that dress as is over and over. But what I did see was its potential as a skirt. So again, had it cut so that I could reconfigure this item so that I would wear it as the skirt, and was able to retain the piece and keep it in my wardrobe, right? So it's those types of items that I want you to start to understand the process and the decision making around investing in better quality pieces, looking at garment construction and the ways things can be reimagined, or function of an item, wearing it in a different way, right? All of these strategies that I've talked about are the ways that you can curate a closet that you love. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by feeling like you have to do all of these things, right, to be able to really achieve that curated closet. But it's, as I said, it's a step-by-step process. It happens over time. It's something that you sort of tackle a little bit here and there. And before too long, it's really what I talked about in episode 8 around your authentic self, and understanding who your authentic self is then becomes this authentic style, and it mirrors this feeling of who you are and what you're about and your priorities. And then what derives from that is often what I like to call the signature style. It's like your mark in the style world, what looks like you and you alone. And that to me feels like such an important part of curating the closet. It's that discovery process of getting through your authenticity, understanding who you are, what your style needs to be, and how you can really make your mark. So curating a closet in this regard, I often sometimes have a client ask me, how do you know when you've achieved a closet you love? And I thought that was a funny question, because in some ways it's going to be different for every person. But I liked it because I was able to kind of position the question back to her and say, well, how do you think you know when your closet really is reflecting all the things that you want. And, she said to me, well, I kind of feel like it's those moments when I used to be able to stand in front of my closet and I would just sort of like hem and haw over what to wear, and I don't even really know what to put on, or I used to feel sort of embarrassed showing up in certain places or going to certain events in what I had on, and I don't really feel that anymore. I feel pretty good about what I've got and how I can show up and do these things. And so she answered her own question, right? She got to the place where she realized that her closet was serving her. It was reflecting the lifestyle and the feelings that she wanted. And quite honestly, as an observer, it was written all over her face. So I could tell that we had sort of achieved at least a state of a curated closet that she really loved. It can evolve and change, much like we all do over our lifetimes. But she had really gotten to a place where she felt really good about the pieces that were in her closet. And I think that's a surefire way that you can measure for yourself. And, just paying attention to some of those behaviors and the feelings that you have about your closet and how it's actually serving you in the life that you're leading. And maybe you ask someone, like whether that's one of your best friends or a partner or even your kids, like just seeing if they've noticed any shift or change when it came to your wardrobe, your choices, maybe how you're holding yourself when you go out or you're, mixing and mingling with different people. It's an interesting process to get some of that feedback, because my gut tells me you will receive the feedback that something perhaps has shifted for you. And I think it enables you to live your life more fully, more engaged, more confidently, and not having that same sense of embarrassment or anxiety or any number of things that I think people feel when they put on their clothes and go through their day. So this curating your closet, it's sort of like if you could go through and listen to all the various episodes if you haven't yet, this feels like the right culmination episode of what this is about. And finding a wardrobe and discovering a wardrobe and reimagining a wardrobe that you love is going to be reflective of that process, that internal work that you're doing on yourself and how you're prioritizing the choices that you want to make about how you want to engage in your day. So I want to encourage you that if you're at the beginning of your process, let it be the beginning. It's okay to be a beginner. That's one of the things I've learned in my own entrepreneurial journey. We don't celebrate the state of being a beginner as much as we do as at the state of accomplishment or the finisher. So if you're at the beginning, champion yourself for being a beginner, and that you're going to try to build this wardrobe that is going to reflect who you are and what you want out of your life. And if you're in the middle of the process, I just encourage you to stay with it, because it is a process. It takes time. I don't have even a certain number of months or years to give you a measure, because everybody's journey is different. And not to sound trite, but the journey is kind of the point, right? Like rushing through the process isn't necessarily going to get you a better end result. It's about taking the time and being intentional about the ways you want to leverage wardrobe to support your lifestyle. And, that, as I said, will evolve and change as your experiences and opportunities evolve and change. And so letting the process evolve with you is kind of part of the story. And when you've achieved, perhaps you're at that quote unquote end game, and I don't know if there's ever really an end game. I mean, you would think, even as I'm talking to you about this, like, have I achieved the pinnacle wardrobe? No, I'm always evolving and changing and reevaluating things as I evolve and change. So I don't want to paint this picture that there's this pinnacle experience that you're aiming for. But I do think you get to a point where you really start to see your closet serving you. The decisions are coming quickly and efficiently because everything there feels good. It reflects who you are. It's versatile enough to show up in all the various ways that you live your life. So it's not a heavy lift to make this choice in the morning. And in fact, it gets to be kind of fun. And that was one of the most important pieces of feedback I think I got from a client most recently, was that she used to really dread the process of building her wardrobe and shopping and all the things. And she had a lot of emotion about the experience, and feeling very frustrated and very disappointed and discouraged. And she came out on the other side of working together. Again, we worked together over a series of time, that she got to see the fun in how her wardrobe could help her lead a life that was truly enjoyable and sparked that joy, as Marie Kondo talks about. So that's the level with which I hope you get to. I hope you get to see the value and the joy and the fun that wardrobe can have in this story, among the many things that are competing your time. But to really embrace this story of curating a closet you love, because I do think the end game, quote unquote, is about that recognition of self and being proud of who you are, and feeling immense satisfaction and joy in the person that you've grown to be, and valuing that person at a new and deeper level, and letting your clothing choices just speak the message, right? Wear what you mean to say. Speak that message of who you are and what's important to you, and how you can be of service to the world. So friends, thank you for your ears and your time this first season. I'll be back with season 2 before too long. But if you would be so kind, I would love it if you would take the time to leave me a review. Give me some of your feedback on the podcasting application that you're using. Send me an email, follow me on Instagram, like whatever the right step is for you to stay connected. I'd love you to do that, because this has just been nothing but pure joy. Until next time. Thanks so much for listening today. If you enjoyed what you've heard, I would appreciate you taking the time to leave a review on the podcasting platform you're using, and share this episode with others who you think might really enjoy these conversations about personal style. For more information all about MFD Style services, you can find me on the web at mfdstyle.com, on Instagram at mfd_style, where I post almost 5 days a week, or send me an email at maria@mfdstyle.com. I also have a weekly email I send to subscribers, so I will include the link to that sign up in the show notes. So until next time, friends, remember to love yourself, and then love yourself some more.